Hey guys, Pie Guy Rules here, and I don't know if you guys know this, but NICKtendo has been a big advocate for the televised program OKKO.
Yes.
So, what you may not know is that privately, Nick is just as enthusiastic about the show and just as attempting to be persuasive, I guess. Adamant.
No, what I do is that whenever we talk, I just kind of bring it up. I don't really care if people like the show or not. I just like talking about it. And I want everyone else to like it as much as I do. It's an eternal struggle. But I haven't even introduced myself. Hi, I'm NICKtendo. I do cartoon reviews and countdowns on my own channel. And I also really like OKKO Let's Be Heroes since, when the pilot came out.
So, I have made jokes about OKKO at the show's expense, maybe like every third episode on the recast.
And it's given me very deep pain.
I honestly and genuinely want to like the show. The people behind the show seem really cool and they seem really passionate about it. And although I might like to make smarmy comments, I also do want to genuinely like it. So I decided to approach Nick and ask him to give me a few episodes, and I watched those episodes, and we're going to see if those episodes made me love OKKO.
I also rewatched the episodes, but I just finished up a big video on that show. I'm just going to plug it now. In editing that video, I pretty much just kind of had these episodes ingrained into my brain, and watching them again was just as enjoyable, but you'll get some, slightly more in-depth comments about it from me here. So, let's get into it.
All right, I just kind of gave you the prompt of pick episodes that you think would get me interested in the show. So this isn't necessarily pick the best episodes or pick the most introductory episodes. I assume you kind of did something that's a mix of both, episodes you liked and episodes that are decently introductory.
Yeah, it was somewhere in between. So you said pick 3, and I picked 3. I threw in a little extra, a bonus episode, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
Before seeing these episodes, I have to say I saw the big crossover last year.
Crossover Nexus, yeah.
I saw one episode where it's like KO and Velma trying to learn new powers or something.
Who's Velma?
I don't know her actual name. She kind of looks like Velma from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo.
You mean Dendy, the girl with the big glasses?
Yeah, she's got the April O'Neil costume.
Okay. Yeah. I guess that's Velma now. I think I know what episode you're talking about. I think that's Dendy's Power. I think that's the name of it. Yeah.
Sure. Why not? I don't really remember it too much. So this is basically an introduction. So the first episode you recommended I watch is called Face Your Fears. I'm going to try to explain what it's about, and you feel free to correct me when I get things wrong. So basically, it's an episode about the shirtless, muscular man that KO works for. He wants to be fearless, or he claims to be fearless, and so they go to an arcade where there's a fear machine, and then he gets paralyzed by fear, and the other people at the shop that they work at decide to plug in and try to rescue him, and it's up to KO to inception his way through people's worst fears and come out the other side.
Pretty accurate, yeah.
Okay. What's the shirtless man's name?
His name is Mr. Gar.
Okay. The names are in the intro, but the intro goes by so fast that I don't know.
The intro is 20 seconds long. It's very brief. I love it, but it's really short.
As it has to be, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is because it's so short and it's so there's so much going on, I never skip it. It's just oh, the intro's nice. I'll just watch it because it's catchy too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a good summation of what the show is from what I've seen. So where do they work?
Gar's Bodega. That's how you remember the name because it's Mr. Gar.
They sell heroing stuff?
So it's half superhero themed supermarket, but also hero supply gear. It's just a sci-fi convenience store.
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't really come up in any of these.
Yeah,
so.
No, there's nothing really special about it. That's just where they work.
So KO is friends with a bug creature?
Are you talking about Dendy?
No.
All right,
no.
so I didn't
the
really
blue-
include any episodes that formally introduced Dendi, but she's a side character that's kind of like the Tech Whiz. She just pops in.
I was talking about the blue guy.
Oh wait, I thought you were talking of the bug creature.
He's got like
Dendi
antenna.
Dendi kind of looks like a bug, but no, that's Rad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's Rad. There's Enid. I got that one.
You got that one.
She sounds like Frankie from Foster's.
Hmm.
There's KO, he exists. And then there's their boss.
What's his name?
Mr. Gar.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. So I liked this episode.
Explain.
Okay.
You can elaborate.
Okay, so the thing about OKKO, and the first thing you'll notice is that it is a very stylized series. That's one word for it. Like art style and animation, it goes for something. And in my opinion, from what I'd seen, like the little bits and pieces I've seen, it just doesn't look very appealing to me. However, this episode, like I was kind of thinking about this leading up to this and thinking about how, when you start to watch Adventure Time, like that art style isn't necessarily super appealing either. Like the very basic looking faces, it can take a little bit of time to get used to it. But if you know anything about Adventure Time, you know that the backgrounds are beautifully detailed. The character designs might be simple, but they work really well for the world, and the animation is really great in that show. And so I was thinking, well, maybe that's the thing with OKKO. Maybe, it is very basic in its design and animation, but maybe that's so that they can do things with it. When they go off model, they really like go all out, and because there's not really an on model, they don't feel like they have to, like it's easier to do that, I guess. And I kind of felt a little bit of that in this episode, where when they're going into the various characters' fears, they kind of do different things with it. And especially the last fear, Mr. Gar, they kind of have it like there's a sandwich that KO's mom fights with, and it's like really well animated, like better animated than anything else in the episode. So I don't know. I kind of softened on it, and I will also say that when I'm invested in the episode story, as I was with this, I didn't care quite as much about the art or the animation.
This is my rebuttal to a lot of people talking about like Steven Universe's animation. I used to compare this show a lot to Steven Universe, and I hate when I do that now. But a lot of people have the similar complaints with the off-model stuff. The thing that I kind of use to judge it is if you're watching the episode and if you're invested in the episode, you probably won't notice it. It's something that people only bring up, just being like, oh, go back to this part of the episode. They were off-model. It looks pretty crappy. But like, if I'm just watching it, I'm usually not going to notice it. I mean, that's more Steven than this, because when this show goes off model, it really goes off model. I think that the whole reason why the show is kind of looks like this is because it puts funny drawings first. A funny drawing doesn't have to be a accurate drawing or what someone would even consider a quote unquote good drawing. It just has to be silly, wacky, funny. And, it's always like that. Sometimes more than others, as you probably saw. It kind of depends on who's boarding the episode.
I mean, this one seemed to care quite a bit about the story itself. I mean, of course, there is silly, wacky faces and goofy things that happen in it, but I could definitely tell that there was a structure to the story, and even in the end, there was clearly some sort of hinting at like a greater story there.
Yeah, so you're completely correct about that. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I didn't really realize this until this rewatch, but this might be one of the most story-heavy episodes, because pretty much everything connects to a different episode, like even very subtle things, like in Enid's Fear. There's a lot of stuff there that goes to the other episodes.
And even another one that you showed me. And I thought that this was a really...
Yeah.
You did a good job picking this one first, because I might not remember the names exactly, but it did kind of show like, okay, so this is who Enid is. Like, she's trying to be really cool, but of course, behind every cool person was an awkward younger version of themselves. And you have Rad, who apparently is not very in touch with his emotions, but he kind of is, but he doesn't want people to know that. And then you got Muscle Man, who, I don't know, he's secretly KO's dad or something.
You'll figure it out if you keep watching. Yeah.
He's got a thing with KO's mom, I can tell you that much.
Yes. Yeah, he's got a pass with KO's mom.
I like the design of KO's mom, by the way. It's just kind of funny how it's just like just older woman KO. Like
yeah, it kind of is that. I don't know. I really like how her hair has kind of an onion shape. Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
The ending theme song, is that sung by Rebecca Sugar?
That is Rebecca Sugar.
Okay.
So there's two. It's split up into two parts. It's kind of random which part you get. I think. I don't think it's like the first half gets one half of the outro and the other half gets the other half.
It's
but
not
yeah,
like a season by season thing.
Oh no! It's the same unless like really special episodes or whatever.
Weird, because I don't remember seeing. I don't think I watched the credits on Crossover Nexus, but yeah, no, that the two little halves of the jingle, one of them something magic, and then the other one talking about 24 frames make a second. Cute way to cap off the episodes. Also, like the weird little characters drawn on paper, like out in the real world. You know, really cute and really stylistic. I think if there's one thing that you cannot fault this show for is like, you can't say the show that people behind it don't have passion for it. Like, very clearly there are a lot of little touches and little things that clearly matter to the people that made it.
My favorite thing about the credits I'm just now picking up on is how you can see like big imperfections in some of the camera work. Like, there's one where it starts and the camera shakes for like a few seconds as it focuses. In the one for, I think it's the second one I put in with Enid, you can see the shadows of the people in the background, like just moving, like someone sets the camera and then they get out of the way.
Right.
I haven't noticed this until now, but it's a little noticeable. But it's a little charming.
And to be fair, you're only going to see this on, like, Hulu. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, I doubt you would have seen that on the original airing.
Yeah. No, Cartoon Network doesn't play credits with the shows.
You know, the one character I really didn't feel like I got a good grip on in this episode was KO himself. He did not leave much of an impression, to be completely honest with you. I mean, it was cute how he knew his friends well enough to solve their problems. And it was also kind of disappointing I didn't get to see KO's fear, to be honest.
You do get to see his fear. It's the thing that comes out of his mind. The dark shape. I think that's his fear.
Okay. He doesn't have like a designated fear room.
Yeah,
but I guess that's fair.
There's no segment of the episode dedicated to that, but he does have a fear that he's kind of hiding.
Okay. I think I might know where that connects, but
yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought as a whole, like it was a pretty simple story. It kind of felt a little like Inception-y. Like they don't go with dreams within dreams, but just kind of like the connections of that. It's a little bit like, your typical VR fare. But, it worked for what it was. And even though I didn't really know too much about the characters or anything, I did enjoy the episode.
Cool thing to note is there's a great Easter egg when they're explaining how KO progresses from one dream to another. It's set up like the battle screen of Super Mario RPG.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know this show loves its references. I guess special shout outs to my least favorite drawing in the episode, which was when KO was crying in Rad's room. Yeah.
Do you have like your favorite and least favorite drawing?
I don't know that I have a favorite, but I also like the interplay with Mr. Gar and KO's mom, like how she seemed completely oblivious to just how awful he was at interacting with her. It was cute, And yeah, Velma, like she was there as exposition girl. She looks like Velma from A Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Don't tell me she doesn't. A little bit like
Velma, yeah. Velma and Dexter, I'd say.
Okay, I could see that. See that.
The Dexter is intentional if you watch a couple other episodes.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely caught some intentional references across these episodes. But yeah, no, the other thing I want to note about this is that I felt like this episode was really, really great with the time that it was given. Like, it felt longer than 11 minutes, but in a good way. And that's really what you want. You don't want something to feel like, oh man, it was so short. And you don't want something to feel like, oh God, I can't even fill up 11 minutes. But this felt like I wasn't sure when it was going to end, but that was a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think pacing doesn't tend to be a big problem with this show, or at least, like, it's good enough with it that I'm not like, oh, when is the episode going to end? I mean, like, I'm impatient enough that I always kind of check with, like, most of the stuff I watch, so I'm not the best person to gauge that, but yeah, a lot of these episodes are paced pretty well.
It definitely is not like Steven Universe, which tries to cram a lot of ideas into not a ton of time. Okay, another question. They're trading cards. That's like a thing. Like the characters have trading cards of themselves, and that tells them their stats.
Yeah, those are the POW cards. There's a whole early episode about that where all of the characters have all the heroes have trading cards and their power level on the front. There's a number that tells them how powerful they are. So yeah, it's got a big like trading card thing built in. That's established early on.
Did they ever make a tie-in trading card game?
No, well, the show just got canceled after 2 years, so what do you think?
Listen, there's trading cards of like Buffy, so I don't know what to tell you. There's trading
Buffy
card games
has a huge
of everything.
fan base, so
yeah, but
it's not
like
a great
years
comparison.
Later. All right, fine. Okay, yeah, that's about it. It's not rocket science, really. It's just kind of a little cute, little fun story. I can't say that there was really any moments that I was like, oh, that's a really funny joke, but I was amused. I liked the sandwich. The stars on the doors reminded me of Steven Universe.
Yeah. Oh, another thing. So there's a flashback right after they get out of the game. Mr. Gar flashes back to this one moment, and this is kind of an in-joke where, since you're watching, this is like one of your first episodes, you really don't get it, but they play that same exact flashback. This is like the third time that it's being seen to you. Like the whole thing, played in full, is just played at least like 3 or 4 separate times.
KO does have a line about like saying like, this isn't the first time I've seen this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's strange, but all right.
I mean, like, I didn't really get it, like, first time viewing, but recently, when I did a recent rewatch, I just found it really funny.
And I guess, just to also make it clear, I am aware of the connection between this show and Steven Universe and the creators of the show and what their relationship is. Like, these are not, like, just random comparisons. I know that they're very close together. Like, Ruby's design was based on KO's design.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that is true. They were gonna do a joke about it in Crossover Nexus, but then it got cut to 11 minutes from 22.
Yeah, I don't think there was time to have Ruby in that episode.
I'm so sad about that. I would have loved for that episode to be longer. Then it would have been more interesting. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay, so moving on, the next episode you had me watch was You Have to Care, which is 2 episodes later, and it's right after the episode. What is it like? Nobody likes Rad or something? Like not everybody likes Rad.
Nobody likes Rad. It's everybody likes Rad with a question mark.
Okay, which made me think. Well, I guess NICKtendo doesn't because he skipped it and made me watch an Enid episode. No,
no. I picked this one because I don't know why, but I kind of had this misconception that you might think, oh, this show's just gonna be silly, goofy comedy all the time, and yeah, it does have that. But it really has its focus set on storytelling and character building stuff. So I thought that this was one of the stronger episodes for that. To also maybe try to get you hooked, because it does have links to a lot of different episodes.
Oh no. Okay. So this episode is about there's a girl that comes in on a tank from what I'm assuming is like the obnoxious, like rich or snooty, like prep school for being a hero.
Yeah.
Okay. She comes in and everyone's like kissing her feet, and then she interacts with Enid, and Enid obviously like has a problem with her, but we don't know why. And then KO asks the girl, and the girl's like, just ask Enid. And he's like, okay. And then he asks Enid, and then Enid has an extended flashback where we find out that they used to be really good friends, but then she betrayed her in the Chunin exams. They fight, and Enid wins, and just, it's kind of like they've been friends all along or something.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
She's a reference to, like, Naruto, right? Like, with the logs?
Yeah, yes, that's what that is, I think.
Okay.
I don't really know Naruto, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Unless, I mean, that might just be an anime ninja cliche before Naruto. I'm not sure, but the logs, Naruto definitely does that.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure someone asked about that on Twitter, and they're like, it's kind of like a general cliche.
Mm-hmm. And actually, when in the other episode, when we see one of the other like younger Enids or whatever, I think in this one too, she looks a little bit like Sasuke or someone.
Yeah, she's got the headband or something
Mm-hmm.
similar.
Yeah, so I didn't care. is the problem.
Oh, no.
I have to care, but I didn't care.
You have to care.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, it just kind of seemed as surface level as it could possibly be in terms of just, we were friends, you betrayed me, but deep down we're friends. I don't know. Like, and especially because it was a flashback, it's like, I knew what was going to happen. Like, it was pretty obvious that she wasn't going to get into that school and her friend was going to betray her in some way. Like, based upon what we saw earlier in the episode, they kind of already made that clear. So I feel like I might have enjoyed the episode better if they had told this information in a way that didn't kind of give away exactly what was going to happen in this lengthy flashback. And also, I don't think this episode did really anything stylistic with the animation or art style. It didn't. It just kind of looked the way OKKO usually looks, which, again, not the biggest fan.
Okay.
Also, her speech in the end that, like, KO fed her, apparently, about, like, you gotta care because caring is important. Yeah, that was, like, oh, boy. Like, was that trying to parody obnoxious moral speeches, or was that just...
I mean, I saw it as kind of a middle ground between kind of being self-aware and kind of actually trying to have a message. But honestly, the reason why I like this episode is because, you know, the conflict is pretty much resolved by the characters just talking it out. I don't know.
Look, you might not want to...
I don't know how overplayed that is for you, but I
Listen, after a certain movie that came out recently, I'm not sure that I need more of that, to be honest.
All right, well, not every episode... Well, okay.
I'm ready for characters to just fight it, all right?
This show only does that to an extent. There is a fight after the characters talk it out, so, you know.
Okay, all right. Yeah, this is true. There's a fight. There's two fights. I get why she didn't want to hurt her friend, but, like, weren't they, like, trying to become fighters at a fighting school where they fight? A little kick to the face, what's that between friends, right? How many times have I kicked you, Nick?
Too many.
Yeah, I really wasn't into this. And also, this definitely also did not endear me to KO himself. He is annoying.
Aw.
I'm sorry, Nick.
It's okay. What did you think of Rad? Because he has some decently funny moments in this one where he tries to be really sensitive and trying to be helpful to Enid, but just asks her super directly and super obnoxiously what her problems are.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay comic relief.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the relationship between Rad and Enid? They seem to live together by another episode that we watched, but they also seem to not like each other. Are they siblings?
So they're not siblings. The last episode I showed you, they're just together at the beginning of the episode. They're just hanging out. They don't actually live together. No, they live in two separate houses.
They're just coworkers.
They're just coworkers, and that's all.
But
I'll
also
say.
Maybe more, wink.
Well, they go into that in a later episode.
Okay. Just making sure they weren't siblings because I was getting a different vibe and I didn't want to. Yeah.
I mean, by the way, he asks her in this episode. There's kind of a sibling thing, like just the bit of like how they treat each other, but that can also be exclusive to coworkers too. Can also not exclusive, but you know what I mean.
Right. To bring up another comparison to Steven Universe, it is kind of interesting that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it very much seems like KO is like the little brother in their team.
Yeah.
Like he's more innocent. He's not as tall as them. They seem to like him, but maybe not. You know, they see him as younger, which is basically exactly how Steven starts out in Steven Universe. Not saying the show copied it or anything like that. I'm just saying there's a parallel there.
Well, I mean, yeah, both pilots were in development at the same time, so not
really?
directly. Yeah. Both came out around the same time.
Huh.
So they can't really copy each other, but the two people behind them like worked together pretty closely at the same time, and also on Steven. So I mean, yeah,
that's right. I forgot Ian also worked on Steven.
No, parallels can't be avoided, especially with like how closely crossover Nexus ties the two shows together.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think this was like the worst thing I ever saw, but it is ironic that like I really do feel like I just didn't care. like I don't know. I wish it was a little more different than your typical best friends that had a falling out cliche, especially
Right.
also because that is also Naruto.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. You know what? You know what? In my defense, this might not have been the best episode because,
mhm,
I mean, I enjoy it because I already liked the characters. I thought this
right,
would help establish the characters a bit more, but I guess trying to bring in another character, trying to bring in Elodie that could, doesn't really
right.
establish the characters we already have.
Hmm.
Although this is a big part of Enid's backstory. In fact, there's more with the prep school in the next season, and I think actually the follow-up episode is way stronger than this. Just I don't know. This was one when it came out I really liked. Although
Okay.
I still think Face Your Fears is the better episode. Definitely one of my
Hmm.
favorites from season 1.
I will say I like Enid. Like between these two episodes, I think she's a cool character. She kind of gives me that like Wendy from Gravity Falls vibe,
Yeah, definitely.
where she's trying to be kind of aloof, and she is genuinely cool, but like clearly, she's got issues too, and she doesn't necessarily know how to handle them.
Hmm.
And she's just kind of like that cool older girl presence.
Yeah. I know you said the visuals weren't doing much for you, and there's a few things that I found really weird. So KO confronts Enid in front of this brick wall, which is apparently I'm just trying to map out because of what I know of the series. I have no idea where this brick wall is because Enid trots across the plaza, across the parking lot, and I don't know like what building that could be. Except for maybe like Boxmoor, which is the villain company across the street.
Right.
There's also a lot of the backgrounds in the flashback, especially at the tournament, are super like minimalistic.
Yeah, there was one point where the body shapes, like in the crowd, they looked like something out of a Storytime YouTube animator, like body shape. It just, I'm sorry, I feel bad. I can't art. I don't know how to art. I'm no one to speak, but can they not do better? Is it bad? Is it poor budgeting? I don't want to blame anyone, but I feel like I would have a lot more forgiveness for the show if it was on YouTube, if this was like a YouTube show, because at times it almost feels like, I mean, even just in style, not just in like art quality or whatever. In style, it almost feels like something you would see on YouTube. Maybe in a like slightly shorter format.
Oh yeah, definitely. It has a big like web animation influence.
Hmm.
Just kind of with the style comedy in some episodes and the timing. It's very quick, very fast paced. I don't know. I think it can be forgiven because that scene. I don't know especially specifically what moment you're referencing, where the crowd looked like that. But for the most part, I think it looks. I think that scene is focusing more on the character dialogue, so it can be forgiven a little bit. But I'll say that I can accept the animation in this show.
Hmm.
I'm not in love with all of it. I'll say that it has flaws. There's episodes where I'm like, yeah, that's maybe a little too far for me, but for the most part, I can accept it.
Okay. Yeah, and I really don't want to put anyone on that makes the show down or anyone that enjoys the show down. But you gotta. That's one of the things that happens when you try for a very specifically stylized art style is that it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. It's not objectively wrong, but eh.
Yeah, but that's a good way to approach it, saying that I don't like this instead of that's bad.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean that is how I feel. I feel like maybe parts of it might be bad, but just the style overall, I do think is a style that's just not my kind of style.
Yeah.
I'm ready to move on to the third episode if you are.
All right. Yeah. So the third episode that I picked was TKO's house. You want to explain it a bit to the best of your ability?
Okie dokie. So, little happy boy KO has a Shadow the Hedgehog in his brain.
That's pretty much exactly what it is.
Mhm.
Yes.
I knew it. I could feel it. I saw the hair. And so basically, I don't think that it's necessarily evil KO, but it's edgy KO. Like, let's just put
Yes.
it that way. Might be evil, might not be. He exists in KO's brain, and KO wants to make him happy and comfortable, but he's not happy because there's a shadowy figure who who helped bring him into existence. He was always a part of KO's mind, but he manifested him, I guess. And he's starting to like take over KO a little bit, and so KO decides to go inside his own head and try to figure out what he can do to help. And basically, he teams up with TKO to find the shadowy figure. That's not me describing the character. That's the name of the character. I figure that's important.
Yes, the character's name is Shadowy Figure.
I love that, by the way. We'll get to that. So they find him and then they fight him, and then, KO and TKO kind of make peace with each other for the time being, and Shadowy Figure gets away. I like this episode. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites too.
I am a sucker for like alternate personas when they're done well. That kind of like duality and like the dark version of you or whatever. Like it can be fanficky. Like you got to be careful with it. But I think they kind of leaned into the tropes decently well, and I think that they, I don't know. I think this was a good version of that. KO going into his own mind and stuff like that. Like it's not like I've never seen these concepts done before, but it was really kind of cool to see, especially because the other two episodes you showed me, there weren't conflicts for KO.
Yeah, it was KO helping other people with their conflicts.
Right, this was a conflict within KO, and so it kind of helped, TKO kind of helped me not dislike KO so much, because KO is like kind of really one note, upbeat, happy little boy, and TKO is not that, but they're both KO kind of, so I don't know, they balanced each other out pretty well.
And yeah, they're also basically the only two, most of the episode, we're just following these two characters around. Like they do a lot of the heavy lifting before the conflict with Shadowy Figure kicks in. They just kind of bounce off of each other. It's just the voice actress talking to herself for like most of the episode.
You know what it reminded me of? I'm just thinking of this. Plankton. The first Plankton episode of SpongeBob, when Plankton's controlling SpongeBob, and they're both kind of fighting for control and bouncing around, and there's like gags about that. Because I thought that was actually pretty funny. I think that's probably the funniest thing I saw out of all of this, is when KO and TKO are kind of fighting for control. And I think that the art and animation worked well there, because it's like kind of deranged, because they're just rolling around on the ground like this human is trying to, because basically the conceit is that KO takes like his right side and then TKO takes his left side. And so obviously they're horribly out of sync, and they're just like bouncing around. And meanwhile, his friends are just doing this weird jig. Like
they're doing like Irish tap dancing.
It's so nonsensical that it's funny. It is really funny. So I really like that.
Yeah, this is one of the best looking episodes of the whole show. That's part of the reason why I picked it, because I knew you were on edge about the art style. And yeah, there's so many great like visual gags in this one. KO's part of his transition into going into his mind is him sliding into a hole he made in the door, saying, "My inner darkness is calling," like really ominously.
Right.
And there's a lot of good stuff. I'm trying to think of some other bits I liked.
Well, there's where they put on their costumes. Was that a reference to Pacific Rim?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Yeah. The whole the machine they use to sync up and become, yeah. I think it's called PKO, perfect KO.
Of course. And the design on KO when TKO is controlling half of them, really cool. Like it's very subtle, it's like an eye color change, and maybe I think the hair might look a little different, but they didn't go overboard with the design.
Yeah, I think you're completely correct about the animation really fits it when it's just them two trying to cycle for control, going in and out. What are some other things before the conflict?
I was just gonna also say that Shadowy Figure feels genuinely not goofy, which, considering like everything else I've seen in this show, I mean, he still fit in with the world. I'm not saying he was like, grimdark, edgy, evil villain or something, but he was sufficiently mysterious and sufficiently good at getting a rise out of KO and also like fighting back. So that was cool, because it's really hard sometimes when you have a show that tries to balance the goofiness and the more serious stuff, something like Adventure Time or this show or Steven Universe. It can be difficult to strike the correct balance. It can be tempting to make every character kind of goofy, but then when you do that, there's not really much of a threat. There's joke villains, and joke villains are fine, but sometimes you need something that's a little more serious. And so I feel like Shadowy Figure, his name's Shadowy Figure, which is in and of itself funny, but the character itself is kind of played straight, which I liked. Glowing orbs. Oh!
Glowing orbs, they're glorbs, yes.
Okay. Did I see a bird version of Pearl at the beginning of this episode?
So,
Or
okay,
am I crazy? Because I could be
that's
crazy.
that's kind of what it is. It's actually the name of the character is Purd.
Okay.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Pearl.
It looks like Pearl fused with Mordecai.
Yeah, kind of bit. He's just a character who exists to be loud and annoy Enid. Actually, he appears for a very brief moment in Face Your Fears when they're trying to make themselves sad.
Oh, yeah.
The thing that makes Enid sad is
Dealing with a customer.
Yeah, dealing with customers.
Okay, yeah. Well, because he's only very briefly in the episode, because it starts with, and this was kind of cool, it starts with, like, TKO thinking that is shadowy figure.
Yes.
Because apparently Purd is in, like, a cloak for some reason.
Yeah, he just has, like, the same exact cloak.
Yeah.
And the reaction from Rad and Anita to that is fantastic. You almost wiped out Purd. Like, not really caring that KO almost ended this man's life.
I'm very glad you showed me this episode, because I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think that this was, I don't know. If there are more episodes like this, I think that I could see watching them.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I guess this one definitely has the talking out the conflict, definitely handles it a lot better than You Have to Care. Mostly because there's a lot more setup to it.
Right.
Yeah. Also, gotta ask you, did you catch the Sonic reference at the end?
Them playing a video game?
Yeah, it's called Chip Adventure 2 Battle.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, I do have to thank you, NICKtendo, for not making me watch the Sonic episode. I'm sure I
could have made you watch the Sonic episode. And then we would have had to talk about it for an extensive amount of time.
Although, considering the last one we're going to talk about, maybe I would have rathered you have picked the Sonic episode. I'll give my final impressions on whether I will be watching more of the show or not at the end, but I will say, from TKO's house, I would definitely be interested at least in watching the other TKO episodes, which I assume is important to the series.
Yeah, very important.
Okay.
So, what did you think about the last episode, the bonus episode that I made you watch, which was Plaza Alone?
Well, let me describe it first.
Yeah.
Okay, so OKKO is celebrating being in an important target demographic for children's shows.
Yeah, so his age is 6 to 11, so he appeals to everyone.
I don't know about that.
Every time he has a birthday, he can appeal to everyone the show is aimed at. So every time he has a birthday, he turns 6 to 11 years old.
Does he turn 7 to 12 next year, or is that just...
No, he turns 6 to 11 every year.
Okay. All right, well, so KO's having a birthday, and he makes a wish on his birthday cake that everyone would disappear so he could spend the day with his two bestest buddies. And then he hangs out with his two bestest buddies, but everyone else is gone, and then they get somehow locked in the break room at work, and then they, like, eat each other, and just things happen. Then, surprise, it was all a birthday twist. There was no wish. Woo.
Woo indeed.
What do you think I felt about this episode?
I mean, I was expecting you to hate it.
Well, I guess I should also add the extra caveat that I don't know what it is, but this episode looks like 20 times worse than any of the other episodes.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry, whoever boarded this.
Oh, this is... I'm sorry, but I think that's purely a storyboarding thing, because...
Don't say the name of the storyboard artist, please.
I will not say the name of the storyboard artist, out of respect.
Okay,
but it's one of those things where it's like when the episode starts, you can tell exactly if it's like, oh, it's so-and-so and so-and-so. Like, it's not to me, that is not a bad thing, and is never a bad thing. It's just always like really obvious, because they got a very distinct style compared to everyone else.
The brush size is like bigger and there's more grain on it.
Mm.
Just for one thing, but it also doesn't.
I think it looks great. Let's move on.
Okay, all right. Yes.
I think it's funny.
I didn't hate this episode, but it was like, why did you show me this? And B, it's just kind of like it's like 11 minutes of nothing happening. Like you know that SpongeBob episode Gone that like a lot of people don't like.
Yeah, are you saying that this is kind of like Gone?
I'm saying this is worse than Gone.
Aww.
I'm sorry. I mean, because they're just kind of goofing around, and then like the drugs kick in.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, look, it was amusing. It was amusing just for how insane it is, but it's basically like, Enid's like, KO, did you make a wish for this to happen? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, well, I'm a witch, and wishes happen, especially with young boys. And then he eats Rad because Rad's a hot dog, and then for the rest of the sequence, Rad is just a face that increasingly gets bigger and bigger on the screen. Nick, did you pick this episode because it's the hardest one to talk about?
Maybe. Did you mention the part where KO turns into a horse?
No. Okay, but it's not just that KO turns into a horse, it's that there's a horse, and then KO's head pops on the horse's head, and then it pops on the horse's butt, and then it's like riding the horse, and then it's 3 KOs, and then he's a horse, and then all the meanwhile it's like intercut with Rad, just his face just keep flying at the screen, and like Enid's like a moon, and is like, I knew this would happen. It's amusing. It's not that bad. It's just kind of like a boring episode up until just whatever happens, up until they lose their minds, and then it's actually kind of funny. And then like the ending is funny too. I mean, it's obviously like that's the twist.
No, the ending is obvious, but I think just the complete backlash compared to the rest of the segment makes it really amusing.
Well, I think the payoff is the security footage, which like,
yes,
Mr. Gar is just like, and we've been watching you the whole time, and then it's just the 3 of them like flipping out on the ground, and it's so apropos of nothing too, because it's not like do they eat a bunch of sugar or something? Like,
no, they just lose it.
Yeah, it's like one locked door, and all of a sudden these heroes are just like out of their mind.
There's suspicious things going on throughout the rest of the episode where they hear like they see party decorations, and they hear what do you call those things? The noisemakers or whatever.
Hey Nick, here's a question: How did they shut down like the evil side of the plaza?
The evil side?
Is there not an evil side? I thought you were explaining that.
I'm talking about the place across the street.
So none of these episodes ever explain like the villains in the opening sequence.
Oh yeah. The villains aren't in any of these episodes. Oops. There's a whole subplot with the villains that I have not did not let you touch in any of these episodes. And there's a lot of really good ones. I don't know why I avoided it. I guess You Have to Care might not have been the best pick, but I really wanted you to see this one so we could talk about it.
There's also a part in this where KO's explaining that he made a wish, and they're on like a promotional poster for OK KO.
Yes. Yo, this is one of my favorite gags. So KO, to explain that they made the wish, it transitions to like the really stock like season 1 poster that every single piece of promotional media uses, which I think is just a hilarious gag, because like you know what the image is even if you haven't seen the show, because it's like if you just Google it, it's the first result.
Woo! Yeah. So I can't say I hate the episode, because it did make me laugh, and it did make me and look, I did not think that the parts, like the normal parts, were animated well, but I will say, like the freak out sequence, like it looked good.
Yeah, I think having the crazy animation, especially in that part specifically, really helped it out, because there's a lot of like really grotesque close up of KO.
Mm-hmm.
Not like anything gross, not like any gross out. There is a gross out episode of the show.
Oh, great.
But yeah, I think some of the animation there helps it to its advantage. Not as much as some of like the standout animated moments of the other episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I remember when I first watched this one, like,
was this like an April Fool's episode or anything, or was
so
this
it wasn't an April Fool's episode. It was, the way it was released is that it's just like a random middle of the season episode.
Okay. Because it
But-
feels like a bonus episode or something. It felt like the Minecraft episode of Adventure Time that doesn't belong to any season. It's just like there.
Yeah. Well, there are some episodes that are just like goofy, random, whatever.
Right.
Like some of the crossover episodes. Although this can't be an April Fool's video episode because it has a date attached to it. KO's birthday, which is referenced on the security camera, is June 18th, which is a reference to the first episode where KO uses his mom's credit card and the pin is his birthday, and it's 0618.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's all tied together.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not an April Fool's, but they released it. It was like, and Cartoon Network was like, oh, here's new episodes that come out next year, and they dropped it on the app, and it was just this one episode. And I just watched it, and I'm like, I didn't get it. I did not get it at all. I was just like, all right, I didn't really hate that, but I didn't know what to think. And then when I rewatched it, it kind of became like, the ending is one of my favorite things from this show.
I mean, it definitely helps that I had exactly no context, no hint that...
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, they were planning a secret surprise party for him. Like, that was clear. But I didn't have any foreshadowing or inkling that they were just going to all lose their minds towards the end of the episode. So, okay.
Yeah. I will say there's a little bit that you have to stomach through to get to that ending. Although I'll say I really like the tumbleweed gag, the stock tumbleweed they use like 6 different times. It just rolls through the background. I mean, like, it's a played out gag, but just making it like a random like stock image, not even something they drew and animated.
Yeah, it was 100% a stock image or animation.
I also like in the freak out sequence, there's some parts where it's just KO freaking out, and it's just the still image where it rumbles or spins around.
yeah, it's like, that's the thing. It's not technically impressive animation wise. It's just it's just impressive with
like,
how weird
interesting.
it is. Yeah. And then also, like, at the very end, like, KO's like a baby with his mom or something. Like, Nick, how do you feel about KO as a character?
KO as a character, I think he's a cute little innocent baby boy. But yeah, you know what? That this is something that I've noticed is that sometimes KO will be drawn really, really squat and a lot like a baby.
Yeah.
Like there's one episode that starts out with a flashback of him as a baby, and his proportions are a little smaller, but like, and you wouldn't know it like most of the time. He turns 6 to 11, so that's how you know in this episode.
Right, of course. All right. Well, NICKtendo, thank you very much for showing me these episodes.
Well, I gotta know, are you planning on watching the rest of the show at some point?
Okay, so there's I'm giving myself 3 options here, Nick.
Okay.
All right. Option 1. I want to watch the rest of the show. Love it. Okay. Option 2. Not a fan. Do not want to ever watch any more of this ever again. Option 3 is that I would watch another like 3 or 4 episodes pre-selected by a friend, much like NICKtendo. And I gotta say, I'm going with that last option. I do not want to like watch this show from the beginning. It didn't 100% change my mind about what the show is. I felt like I kind of maybe knew. I kind of maybe feel like I had the right impression all along of what it is anyway. Not that, like, you know, the quality of it or anything. But yeah, no. I honestly, I'd watch more episodes with TKO and you know, maybe some other things happening and take it from there. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Yeah, I can accept that.
Cool.
You know, in my defense, I probably could have picked, you know, if I was really, really let myself, if I wanted to use the 4 episodes to the best of my ability, maybe I could have split off maybe half. I was originally going to include the first episode, the first like 2 episodes, just to introduce you. But I think Face Your Fears kind of works in the same way, because that's just a really solid episode that touches on all the cast members.
I'm also a little bit afraid of how rough the first episode might be.
No. The first episode actually looks really good. It's
Oh.
episode 3 you need to worry about.
Of course.
And also because the first episode isn't the first in production order.
Oh God, this again.
Yeah, there's some interesting art style stuff at the beginning of the series, especially with like color palette and yeah. I mean, I got over it, but voice actor changes.
Oh,
yes. For KO, KO's voice actress swaps between 2 different people in like the first couple episodes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
KO.
Let's go. All right. Well, thank you for being here, Nick. Once again, Nick has a really great retrospective of the series. I say really great because it's NICKtendo quality. Not that I've seen it.
Oh, thank you.
I say that not to be mean to Nick, just so that like the integrity of this video isn't called into question.
Yeah. I was gonna ask beforehand, hey, did you actually watch my video? Because that would have spoiled a tiny fraction of the show for you.
Yeah, but no, if it's up to Nick's usual quality, I'm sure it's a great video, and it's approved by people who worked on the show.
That is true. That's not a lie.
Mm-hmm. All right, if there's a show that I don't like or I have never seen, and you would like to get me interested in it, please leave a comment down below recommending a show and or some episodes and or another person to come on and help me with that. But yeah, thanks, Nick.
No problem. Glad to be here.
Bye, guy rules. Out.
NICKtendo also out.